Hey guys, I'm Ellis Bernier. Welcome to episode 2 of the Poolside Chat. Today we have the executive principal, Brett Woodcock, on. We're going to be talking about the late policy and traffic in the high school. Hope you guys enjoy. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 2 of the Poolside Chat. I'm Ellis and I'm here with Mr. Woodcock. Be doing a couple questions for you, shooting them your way. These are all student asked. I've been asking around the school, so
hopefully they're easy questions. Poolside Chat kind of implies that it's going to be cozy and easy.
It'll be relaxed, it'll be nice, and no worries, no fist thrown or anything like that. So the first question is, with the Spotify ad coming out, everybody's interested about others' music tastes, and everyone is wondering what the executive principal, Mr. Woodcock, has been listening to.
So it's a great question. To be honest with you, I don't have time to listen to my own music very often. So I have 3 daughters, and when I'm around my 3 daughters in the car, I really don't control the radio at all. So since October, I've been listening to a lot of holiday songs and Christmas music. Which I have zero control over, so I'm in that mode of I'm ready for the holidays to be over because of the amount of music I've listened to related to Christmas. But I'm more of like an Ed Sheeran guy. I don't know. Don't judge me too much, but I like a little Ed Sheeran, relaxed.
It's safe with us.
All right, it's okay. All right, good.
So the first questions that a lot of students have been asking actually is they have concerns with the traffic.
Yes.
And how that goes. And when I say traffic concerns, what goes through your mind?
So when I hear people talk about traffic, I'm assuming that they're talking about in the morning.
Yes.
You know what I mean? There is a 15-minute block of time in the morning. It's from 7:20 to 7:35, where there's a tremendous amount of traffic coming into the high school, right? So the tricky part of traffic, because you got to remember, I'm a teacher. I was a teacher, right, for 20 years. I never went to school for traffic policing, but so I've have the responsibility of trying to come up with systems that improve the way we get people in and out of the school, with the limitations of what we have. So, for example, we have Wetzel Road out here. It's a 2-lane road, right? 2-lane roads are not ideal for getting 2,500 people in and out of a building in a short amount of time. So it's pretty tricky. So there's a lot of different things to think about. There's the busing traffic, there's the parent drop-off traffic, and then there's the staff traffic because of all of our staff drives and parks in the parking lot. And all those people have to use the same entrances and same exits. So it's a long way of saying it's a tricky thing to get figured out. I will say that we've been able to do some things. We've made some changes from the first day of school till the current period of time, where the first few days of school it's really rough. It didn't work out very well, and we've made some adjustments. For example, we've had the majority of our buses drop off on the athletic side of the building. All right, and we have once our buses are cleared on our main office side of the building, we allow parents to use the straightaway to get more cars off Wetzel Road. What's nice from my perspective, and I'm not sure if the students feel this or not, but is that at 7:35, so 5 minutes before our first class starts, traffic is pretty well cleared out there on Wetzel. So what that tells me is if people have the opportunity to be here on time. A lot of it depends on what time you left in the morning and things like that. But there is an opportunity. It's cleared at 7:35, where if you leave at a reasonable amount of time from your house and plan for the traffic, you should be able to get here on time. Now, there are things that happen. There are accidents some days, and there are other things. So we try to communicate with our staff and make sure they're aware if there's an accident or reason that somebody might be late, and accommodate accordingly. But I equate it to going to like a NFL game, right? So if the game starts at like 1 o'clock, I can't leave my house at 12:50 and plan on being at the game on time. I have to adjust based on what I know. And if you come before 7:15, I can tell you, what not many people do. Mr. Terrazini, I think, gets here at 5 a.m. and he's never had a problem with traffic. And I'm not saying that's the answer, but if you leave and you're going to hit the road at 7:20, you're going to be sitting for a little bit in traffic.
Now, one thing that a student asked very specifically was nobody helping the traffic, such as a crossing guard or somebody directing the traffic or anything like that. Is there any reason that something like that hasn't been implemented?
So my question to that would be, do you know where they're talking about? Because we do have security out front. Are you thinking about the student lot maybe?
I'm thinking the entrance to the student lot, mostly.
Yes. So like, why don't we have a sheriff's officer there, right? Or why don't we
Or
have
somebody
a
directing
security
traffic or
officer?
helping it out.
It's a great question. So a couple things. There's manpower involved, and like getting the police to direct traffic is definitely a a price consideration. It's an expensive thing to do, but we do have security out there. We have a principal out there, or a dean, or Mr. Katera was out there as a dean last month, I know, trying to help to make sure that it's as safe as possible in the parking lot. We only have a certain amount of people, so what we do is we take our security team and we put them in where we think is the most important spot based on what's happening in the building. So we do need supervision within the building. We need supervision and support outside the building, but it's something we talked about, and it really comes down to how many people do we have and where should we put them to best utilize. So right now they're over on this side to get parents through the lot. If the students are having a hard time getting in, that's something we consider too, as far as the seniors and that are driving to school. So
another thing that was brought up by another student is the parent drop-off policy and rules.
yes,
And what they said is that the main part of the traffic comes in with the parent drop-off and how they clog it up by going into any lot that they want, just driving in and going, stopping. It's
yes.
and they were very annoyed by it. Very annoyed, actually. They had a lot to say about it for a long time. And is there any? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I would agree that, there are certain, so we communicated the drop-off system earlier in the year, right? So I believe that parents know where they're supposed to go, right? And we have a system in place, so they go through the staff lot until a certain amount of time, then they go through the straightaway, right? And we had a lot of people out there initially to try to help so that way everybody's on the same page about what's expected. As far as people not doing, what we asked them to do, that's pretty much how my job works, right?
Yeah.
So, there are things we put in place, and we have to make sure that we all follow those systems. And when people don't follow those systems, or try to say, oh, it's not a big deal, it ends up impacting the entire thing, creating other issues. But those are things that are happening. Those are things you would expect in a building this size, that there's going to be some people that don't follow the rules, and you try to make sure that those people, we have a conversation with them, make sure they're aware of why we do the things we do, and see how not following those impacts the rest of us. So.
All right. And to carry on with this traffic, the
Oh,
enforcement.
you really
of the
want to
late
talk about
policy.
traffic today, huh? You're traffic.
Oh yeah,
It's a traffic guy,
It's
you know?
the important thing. It's the important thing. But the enforcement of the late policy.
Yes.
A lot of students have concerns with this late policy. Of course, it's necessary in cases, but not all students feel that it's fair or necessarily enforced fairly. One of those is with the sign-in policy, they are made much more late to class than if they were just to go
Yes.
and be late, marked tardy there. Is there any reason why it is at the beginning of the building?
What do you mean? What do you mean the beginning of the building? At the main office?
At the,
Gemma?
as in the athletics entrance, the Wetzel entrance, and I don't know about the office entrance. I don't know if that happens there.
So why can't you be late other places you're talking about?
Why can't you go straight to class and then be marked absent or then sign in?
So it's a great question. The quick answer to that one is it would be disruptive on the class, right? Because then teachers would have to stop and mark students late. And, what I'll say is the question you're asking me is something we've talked a lot about. I was coming over here this morning, and you see students still walking on the path, right? So one of the things, what's our goal? Our goal is that students are here on time because the first block is as important as the last block, right? So it's tough because every day we have and there are reasons that people are late. They're valid reasons, right? But the majority of the lates that we deal with on a daily basis could be addressed if, at the end of the day, we have to have a certain time, that is late. If we don't have a time set that's late, people would stroll into this building all different hours, right? And you can imagine what that first block of time looks like. So 7:40 is that time. And then when we talk about, manpower before and safety and security, after we have people spread out, staff for supervision, in the morning, which allows us to use 3 entrances in the morning, right? When the bell rings at 7:40, those staff, those people have places they need to be in the building where they work with students. So we're no longer able to staff 3 different entrances. That's why at 7:40, those exterior doors are locked and we have a single point of entry. We have discussed the most efficient way to get those students through the line, whether we write their name down and address them later. The problem there is, then what do we do when we have to pull them out of a class later in the day, right? Which then impacts. So it's a complex problem, I would say. At the end of the day, the goal is to be here by 7:40, and whenever possible, to make sure you're here by 7:40, because block 1, like I said, is just important as block 7. We've had a number of students bring up in the survey, when I read through the survey results, why not have AA be block 1? And we've thought about that. That's been done before, but what happened was then a majority of students weren't here for AA, and then guess what? We had the late issue for the second block. Right. So it's an issue. What we've tried to do is not give consequences for being late that would have you miss more school. You know what I mean? So we went through and we're like, okay, we're not going to give you supervised study or ISS or because you're late to school, because that's counterproductive, right? You've already missed a little bit of school, now you're going to miss more. So the consequences are pretty low level, lunch detention and those types of things, just to say, hey, we need to focus on trying to get here on time, and we give students chances, but at the end of the day, it's a long way of saying the goal is everybody's in their class at 7:40, and there's a lot of people here, so if there's 100 students that are late, it takes some time to get people through, but we've tried to talk about that.
Now, to move on from being late to the beginning of the school day to
Yeah.
being late to the middle to the end of the school day,
Yeah.
students are late even though they are continuously walking and trying to get to class, but because of the crowded hallways and the length of, the school,
Yeah.
they're still late and most times still punished. And I guess I'm wondering is if a person is leaving the 3rd floor, the 2nd floor, the 900s or gym,
Yeah.
and they're walking to Wetzel continuously without stopping and are
Yeah.
still late, is it okay for them to still be punished for that?
So what I'll say to that, I think that people are assuming that that's happening. I would be curious to see what the exact scenario is, because here's the conversation we've had. If you're coming from Wetzel, right, and by the way, we've had a longer passing time than we've had in years past. We gave the additional minute. We do notice that the crowd from Wetzel it's about a 4.5 minute walk, casual walk, not the Mr. Brewery speed walk, right? Casual walk from the cafeteria to the high school. So we've been accommodating, like when we go through asking students for passes and lanyards and everything, there's been a little bit of leeway to the fact that we know that we've got a group coming. What we also have is we have some students, unfortunately, that take advantage of knowing that, hey, I could just say I'm coming from Wetzel, right? So this year we've really worked with our staff to make sure that, so if I teach in the 900s, I know who the students are that are coming from Wetzel that may be late to my class. So those students, they may be late by 30 seconds or a minute, right, to come in my class. They should not be late by 2 minutes or 3 minutes. So I think some of the people that may be saying, well, I get in trouble for being late, there's some people that are taking advantage of the fact, I think that's human nature, right, that people try to stretch boundaries. What I can say is that I trust our deans and our principals with the fact that we have conversations with kids, and we talk about, I've actually walked the route with students to show them that it could be done in 5 minutes, and it's not like a speed walk or anything like I say. It's a casual walk, and usually the time that I can walk it is much quicker than students can. So if students are focused on getting from point A to point B, I don't believe the 6 minutes becomes an issue unless you're coming from the Wetzel or the third floor. The other piece of that is, I was behind a group of students the other day, and I heard somebody say, let's go out this way so we don't get caught in the traffic. And when they talk about traffic in the building, they're talking about the 400, 500 south stairwell, which is the worst spot in the building for traffic. But I'm out there frequently, and I think the traffic moves pretty well. I would say that what you're explaining, it would be a surprise to me if there wasn't a more detailed explanation of why somebody's being marked late. For example, yes, maybe you're 30 seconds or a minute later because you're coming from, hey, I'm coming from Miss Wilson's class, and I'm going all the way to 900. You're going to be late, possibly. But we've identified the students that are doing that, and the other students that have maybe in the past said, hey, I'm coming from Wetzel, that really aren't coming from Wetzel, those are the students that are ended up getting the consequences.
Absolutely.
Does that help?
No, absolutely, yes. All right, and that's all that we have for today.
Traffic and lates, that's what you get for
Traffic
me.
and lates,
Mr. Henner got all these softball questions
Hey,
at the...
it's, we try to keep it chill, but
All right.
listen, sometimes students are ruthless. These aren't my questions.
All
I
right.
don't make the rules.
That's-
And this has been episode 2 of the Poolside Chat. Thank you very much, Mr. Woodcock.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And we'll see you guys on the next one.